Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. Today, we welcome back our most viewed episode in 2024, Summer McIntosh. Summer is coming off an incredible summer with 4 Olympic medals, 3 of them gold. She then went on to Budapest to win another 3 gold medals at Short Course Worlds, breaking 3 world records. This girl is on fire.
Absolutely on fire. And it was so fun to catch up and hear everything since then. And you and I talked about this after too. I feel like the really cool thing about having repeat guests on is this time, like, we noticed a difference between like the conversation the first time with Summer and the second time, of like the comfortability level and like the relationships that have grown there. And like, that was just so cool to see, like, just having them back and actually see like we're really making friends with our guests. And like when you get to see them again, there's this like extra level of excitement and like everyone's a little bit more relaxed because they know how it goes. And so I just thought that was so cool. And obviously we knew it was going to be essentially just talking about like a highlight reel with her for the first half of the episode, because everything this past summer and fall, winter just was incredible for her. And she was so happy. So it was wonderful to hear from her, like from her own perspective, what it meant to her and how she's been coming off of it. And it was just, we said this after the first one, she is so grounded for how young she is and so mature. Like it never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah, I know. I feel like both of us are like, oh, wow. Because we're thinking back to us when we were 17, 18, 19. I think it was just, again, going back to part of why we started this podcast, right? Like being able to connect with the, not even last generation, the generation before the generation for me, but being able to, just hear like her as a person, who she is, what she likes. I want to say shout out to our Unfiltered Waters audience who provided so many awesome questions. And I just felt like it made me feel confident that we were delivering a conversation that our guests truly enjoyed, and then our audience will really connect to.
Yeah, it was so fun including them in this. And that's such a good point. Like, I feel like we hit on almost every topic that came in of what people wanted us to address. So that you're so right. Like, that makes me so excited to hear the feedback of making sure that we're asking the questions that you guys want to ask. But then we have that really fun power play section at the end where we just continue to get to know Summer as the amazing person that she is. And we were all just in giggles for the whole time. So
literally. And we were matching the entire time. I'm going to call that out because people are going to see a lot of that. And so on Wednesdays we were pink. So guys, if you're watching this and you want to match us, you should rock some pink.
Please do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we won't say anything more. You guys are going to absolutely love this episode. So without further ado,
here is Summer McIntosh.
Dream Recovery has been a longtime sponsor, and there is a major reason why. Missy and I use just about every single product that they have, from their silk pillowcases to their incredible eye mask to their Dream Tape and now their Dream Tape Plus. We cannot get enough. The tape is secure and it comes off super easy in the morning. And y'all know me, I am all about efficiency. So the fact that I'm knocking out some of my lip skincare routine as well as getting an awesome night rest, check all the boxes, and I love it. The benefits of mouth taping are really extensive, and since using it in the last year, I have fallen asleep faster, increased my REM sleep, aka the ability to recover well, and found myself waking up just so much more well rested. If you're nervous, I get it. They have their Dream Strips, which is just a smaller one, but just as effective to allow you to experience the incredible benefits. So in this busy world, why would you not take such an easy step to optimize your life? So we've got a special code for you. It's code UNFILTERED to give you 30% off your first order or 50% off your first subscription of Dream Tape or Dream Tape Plus. Sleep well.
Summer McIntosh, welcome back to Unfiltered Waters.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm so excited.
We are so excited to have you here. There's so much to catch up and talk to you about. I mean, just what you've done over the last 6 months has been absolutely incredible. But first, you are coming off of a 3-week training trip from altitude in France. Tell us everything. What went into the decision to go to the altitude camp in France? How was it? How are you feeling now that you're home? And follow up, we're going to get into the skiing after all of that.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I mean, I'm still definitely a little bit jet lagged, I would say, but overall, it was such an amazing experience, and I made a lot of new friends there. But the reason I went there is this year, me and my coach decided that we wanted to do some different experiences when it came to training and think outside the box. And I had the connection with one of my old teammates who used to train in Florida. His name's Colin, and he trains there now with Fred. And he was just raving about the program, raving about all this. And he was saying that I should come up for this 3-week distance camp, that I would love it. It's at altitude and it would be a great time. So it's been in the talks for a little bit, so being able to go was so awesome, and I had a great time, and everyone was so welcoming there. Even though obviously we don't speak the same language, they definitely knew some English. That was awesome, and it was just such a cool experience. And yeah, the skiing was a really cool part as well. I mean, definitely learned how to do it over the first few times, but yeah, overall it was a great experience, and Fred was amazing too, and I had a great time there for sure.
Was that your first time learning to ski?
So I used to go downhill skiing all the time, but cross country skiing is so different.
So different.
This was like, I've done it once before, like at like a field trip, like a school field trip, but no, this was really, really intense, especially at higher altitude, even than where we were swimming.
Yeah.
But we would go for we would do it on double days too. So we would swim in the morning and then we would go for like an hour and a half. So we would do like 6 kilometers of it, usually around that, and a bunch of different courses, like up and downhill. So it definitely got intense at times. And the first few times we went 6 times total. I definitely wasn't the best, and I kept falling. And I think by the end, I only fell like 3 times total. So yeah, but it's a lot harder than it looks, and it's definitely just not something that I think swimmers are naturally going to be good at either. So because I'm not that coordinated of a person.
Unless I feel like there's 2 groups, like Missy and her daughter now have been doing that since they were 3 years old. And I feel like Kate at this point, her daughter is better than me at skiing. So I'm so interested to hear people that are doing it kind of later in life. Like, were you bunny slopes, and then did you work up to, I don't know all like the diamond and all the phrases, but like what's going through your head when you're looking straight down, basically?
Well, since it was cross-country skiing, there wasn't any like huge slopes or anything like that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. A lot of them did go downhill skiing like on days that we had no swim practice, but I don't think that would be a good idea if I did that. Because cross-country skiing, I was already falling enough. But there was definitely some like downhill, like even though it was cross-country skiing, there was definitely some downhill parts to it. I think the uphill was almost scarier though, because if you fell, like you could kind of tumble down. But no, it was just a cool experience overall, and I think it was good cardio-wise and working endurance as well. But yeah, definitely was very different stimulus than swimming.
Yeah, I think I read that Nordic cross-country skiers are actually the fittest people in the world.
Oh, I believe it.
Like,
that doesn't surprise me.
No, it is unbelievable what they are able to do, and you're so right. Like it is just a totally different animal than what you're used to, but also makes sense that you guys were doing that, because I do feel like the risk of injury as opposed to just like regular downhill skiing is definitely a little bit alleviated. But the fact that you guys were doing that on double days, like
exhausting.
That is insane.
Yeah, so basically we would wake up, swim for 2.5 hours, like 7 to 8K, and then we would go straight outside and we would go ski for an hour and a half, and then we would come back and quick nap, and then right back to another 2.5 hour practice. So definitely big days, but it was just such a fun time, and everyone was so willing to put the work in and work hard. And I think since it was something that was quite different, like cross country skiing, I think that's what made it super fun and enjoyable as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask that for you. Like, that must be fun. Like, we had a question come in that, well, I guess I'm going to ask it now, of like how you keep kind of your love for the sport alive. But it sounds like, you and your coach sort of have that under control right now. Of like, let's try some different things. Like, let's do things that are exciting and fun and different, because that is, for the athlete, for you, it is like a breath of fresh air to be like, yeah, I'm going to go and swim, but I'm going to do it in France, and I'm going to do it with a new group of training partners, and I'm going to go cross-country skiing in between practices. So like, do you feel like that's kind of helped and like sort of continuing to keep your love of swimming alive?
Yes, I think for sure. I think swimming can become very repetitive.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing because it's obviously extremely necessary because you want to be very consistent on a daily basis. But I think just a change of scenery here and there, it can never hurt. And I think expanding and doing cool experiences and things that are outside of my comfort zone as well is really important for me to be able to grow as a person and as a swimmer. So yeah, I mean, overall, I learned so much about myself. I mean, I can't say that I learned a lot of French. I still have not learned a lot of French, but overall, it was such a great time.
Oh, that's awesome. I always feel like for our listeners who are not, swim nerds or know swimming, can you talk just briefly about altitude, like why you go there, and then also how it feels when you come down to sea level? Because I know personally, it's the best feeling in the whole world.
Yeah, so that's my second time doing an altitude camp. The first time I was up at OTC at the beginning of the last season, Olympic year. And I mean, going up there, you pretty much right away notice a difference. People say it usually takes around 2 weeks to get adjusted to altitude. I think you get adjusted, but you can still feel it no matter what. For me at least, especially when it comes to like more like 50s fast and when you're pushing and going all out, it's more, you can feel it on that. It just feels like you're kind of like breathing through a straw, or it feels like you're breathing in, but nothing's going in. Kind of
where's the air? Where is it?
No, yeah, it can kind of freak you out, but I think it's also a good learning piece because it makes you have to stay as calm as possible mentally, which is super important. But it's just a great way to get that extra little oomph. I mean, I think everyone reacts to altitude differently, but for me, I just think it's good. I think it's also a huge part of it is just getting away, and really your only focus is in on training on a daily basis. You're kind of away from any distractions and outside noise and things like that. So that's also really awesome. But I mean, yes, coming back, you definitely right away notice a difference that things are kind of just a bit easier and your heart rate stays lower. But they say like the best and the most benefits you get from an altitude training camp is usually around 2 weeks after, I think. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how I react, because I only got back a few days ago. So
yeah, awesome. I feel like I always felt like I was pumped, even if it's crazy to think that you get excited for really, really hard sets when you come back. But I always felt like it was like, oh, this is like my test. Yeah. And you feel like Superwoman or Superman. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we cannot have a conversation with you without talking about Paris. I know you've talked about Paris a lot in the last few months, but I think we wanted to take a lens of hearing about just your selection of what events you chose to do. Obviously, you didn't swim the 800, but just now looking back, the thought process around your event lineup, how you felt it went, which our opinion is incredible, but how you felt personally, because we've had people on and they've talked about, obviously winning gold is everyone's dream, but as an elite athlete, you have more goals than just winning potentially. So I would love to hear that process and then just in general, how you feel about it.
Yes, I mean, Paris was still such a dream. It's very surreal still, even talking about it. I think every time it hasn't sunk in at all. I think I've been kind of on the go since then, so I haven't had a lot of time to reflect. I mean, a few weeks after I did, but still, it's such a weird concept to grasp, I think. But when it came to choosing events, I mean, me and my coach, Brent, sat down at the beginning of the season last year, and we just kind of picked basically what we thought we were going to do then. And we thought, like, no matter what, we're going to really stick to that and those 4 events. So I mean, I think people were surprised that I didn't do the 800 just because I did a really good time later on that season, but it was just never in the plan. So my training was never based around swimming the 800 at the Olympics. So I was never going to change it then. I think that was too late in the game. And I really wanted to swim the turnaround, and I'm so glad that I did. It was such an awesome race. And I think I really just chose the events that I'm most passionate for and have the most excitement for. And I think I swim the best when I'm the most proud and confident in those races. So overall, definitely wouldn't go back and change anything. I think last season was amazing, and I mean, I learned so much from it. I mean, I love the 800. I mean, is it one of my favorite events? I wouldn't say, but I mean, obviously I'm good at it, so I will continue to do it here and there, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's just fun I mean, this season I'm definitely focusing on branching out a little bit more when it comes to my events, but I think last season I was just really hardcore in on those 4 events, really focusing on those, and no matter what, really not changing my mind, changing the plan going into the Olympics.
Talk to us a little bit more about that branching out, because that's super fun and exciting too. And I feel like, when you come off that Olympic year, you sort of have a little bit more flexibility to do that. So if you can tell us about some of the events you're looking at maybe getting into a little bit more.
Yes, for sure. I mean, along with the 800 freestyle, I've always loved the 200 backstroke. It's always been one of my favorite events growing up as a swimmer and always one of my best events. So getting back into that after it's been neglected for the past year or two, I'm really excited to do, along with the 200 freestyle as well. I've loved that event for a long time, and used to be one of my best events last Olympic cycle. So getting back into that one. So just kind of branching out, and also as much as I am branching out, I'm still super focused on my core events as well that I've always loved and been growing at as well, and just improving overall. I mean, I think the faster you can make your tuner free, the faster your tuner fly is and things like that. And along with the faster your 800 freestyle is, then the faster the back half of your 400 freestyle is. So I think they all kind of correlate with one another, but I think branching out is another cool way to kind of switch things up and learn new things about myself as a swimmer.
When you think back to all your races, we've had multiple athletes talk about this, so I want to hear your take on it. You win gold, right? Which for some people, they're like, I am to the moon. I'm not thinking about anything else. And we've also heard people that win gold and then they go into like, yeah, but like I wanted my split to be better, my turn to be better. So where do you fall in that, or are you in the middle?
I think I will always have a bit in me where I'm like, oh, this could have been better. But in a moment at the Olympics, when going in, all I wanted to do was win as many things as I possibly could. That was always the goal, just to get my hand on the wall first. And I think that's the only swim meet where that's my only goal, or my main goal at least. And I think now looking back, for me to be able to improve and learn and get faster, now I look back at my splits and where I went wrong or where I went right and continue to do those things. But I mean, once you touch the wall and realize you're Olympic champion, I think it's hard to think about, oh, my turn was bad, Like, it's just, I mean, I think in the moment, I really just try to enjoy that experience as much as possible and soak it all in, because it goes by really fast, even though it was like 9 day long swim meet. But I think now for me to be able to improve, I have to reflect on how I can be even better than what I was in Paris. So I think I'm kind of in the middle.
That sounds so healthy.
I'm sitting here just like, good Summer.
You're doing such a, like, that's
like, way to go, sweetie.
You're doing great. But truly, like, I think it's so good that, and even that our audience hears that too. Like, your goals might be different at different meets too. And like, that's okay. 100%. Like, your priorities are going to shift depending on, and I think I don't want to speak for everyone, obviously, but I think a lot of elite athletes would say that about the Olympics, right? Is that if you are someone that maybe is normally motivated more so by best time or having the perfect race and the perfect splits, the Olympics is a little bit different in that truly, like, there's just something about being an Olympic champion that in that moment, that success in and of itself is just, I'm so glad to hear that you were able to fully just be like, yes, like I did so much of what I sought out to do when I started this. And we've had a bunch of people on who are in Paris. We've heard lots of different stories from everyone. And we wanted to hear really just like how your experience was as a whole. We know that a lot of athletes ended up staying in hotels right next to the pool because the village and the traffic was too far away. There was a bunch of headline stories that came out about things, but in general, tell us about how Paris as an Olympic experience was for you.
I mean, it was absolutely incredible. Paris hosted an amazing games, and I think it was very different for me because the only other Olympics I could compare it to was Tokyo, and that was amazing as well. But of course, with COVID, there was a lot of restrictions and a lot of times where things weren't like a normal Olympics with no people in the stands. So seeing all that for the first time and racing in front of all those people was absolutely incredible. It was something that I think I really fed off of and I got a lot of adrenaline from. But overall, I mean, the village was super cool. I mean, obviously every Olympics is going to be different in the way countries host them, but Yeah, I mean, I had a great time, and I think the pool was absolutely beautiful and obviously very fast. So it
Yeah.
was just so cool. And along with the medals as well, like the medals are probably one of my favorite parts just because I think it's such a beautiful representation of all my hard work and things like that, that me and
Mm.
all my support system has put into it. So having a specific piece of art basically to kind of take home as a souvenir, you could say. I think that's a really cool part of it as well. Although I don't really like look at them, like they're actually in my room right now. Like I never like bring them out. Like I kind of forget about them sometimes. Like I keep them in just like a little memory box. But yeah, that's probably one of the most special parts of it. But overall, it was such an amazing experience, and going back for flag bearer was also probably one of the coolest, the probably the coolest moment of my life, and such an honor as well. And sharing that with Ethan was also really cool. So overall, that was absolutely incredible. And that whole time was such a blur. I think partially because there was time change. So I went back to Canada for like 4 days, 4 nights, and then I was back in Paris. So I was
Oh
definitely
my
jet
gosh,
lagged.
I didn't
But
realize
there
you
was
went
a
back
You
in between.
left.
yeah, I did. I went to my cottage with my friends, which was really fun to celebrate. But yeah, I went back and forth, so definitely was jet lagged, but obviously it was worth it and I pushed through. But it was such a blur and then such an amazing summer, and I think I'm still kind of digesting all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What is the first thing you guys all did at the cottage together to celebrate?
Well, a lot of them I hadn't seen in so long because a lot of my friends still live in Toronto, and since I train in Florida, I hadn't seen them in months. So, I mean, obviously, I gave them all a big hug, and I think it was so nice to be reunited with all them. And then, honestly, the best part of the cottage, you can really do whatever you want. You can just chillax. I mean, we went tubing, we went jet skiing, we went swimming in the lake. A lot of my friends that aren't swimmers anymore or still are swimmers, they would always want to race me in the lake, and they would beat me sometimes. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why? Like, how are you beating me? Like, you haven't swam competitively in like 5 years, which was so funny. But yeah, we had a great time up there, and it was such a great getaway to get away from the noise and like a city aspect and just kind of be with nature and have campfires and roast marshmallows and things like that. It was awesome.
That's a lose-lose, by the way. Like when people are like, do you want to race? You're like, well, if I beat you, you're like, yeah, obviously. If I lose,
Yeah, exactly.
it's just shame on me. So like there's no positive.
Thank you
going
for
into
saying
Yeah,
that.
you're actually
It's
right.
like the most awkward position to ever be put
You're
in. That
like,
was like one
No,
of my
I agree.
least favorite questions to get asked because I would be like, I would feel too bad to say no, but I absolutely hated every second.
I would be like, I'd be at like a college party, like standing there, and there'd be like a, a little, they'd be like, want to get in and race? I'm like, absolutely not. Like that is terrible. So good on you for doing it. I mean, I guess that's a good sense of humor.
Well, and again, like I'm just so impressed too, because another question we had come in was kind of, we've talked a lot about the post-Olympic emotions as well, but it sounds like you did such a good job in just like setting yourself up for success, particularly when it came to that of like, oh, I'm going to give myself time and space at my favorite place in the world with my favorite people to like have something to look forward to after. So after this is all done, like there's still something going. And like, so did you feel like was that part of why you did that, to kind of help alleviate some of the emotions you felt like might come after the games? Or did it just work that it gave you that kind of time to really reflect and also take that little bit of a step back to recognize everything that had just happened?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, I've been doing, it's not really a birthday party, but since my birthday is in the summer, it kind of is. I've been doing the cottage thing with my friends. That was my 10th year doing it. And I always do it around the same time every year after a Worlds or a big swim meet. So that was always kind of a plan in the books, and it was a plan months out before the Olympics. So definitely was so nice to look forward to that after the Olympics, because it's such a change up from, I mean, you're at the Olympic Games, there's media everywhere, there's a lot going on, it's high pressure moments. And then going back to Canada, being with my lifelong friends that I've known since I was 7 years old, like just in nature, completely relaxing for 2 weeks. It was so, so nice. And I think it was just a great way to take a bit of a breath and a break from all the noise and things like that. But then obviously going back and immersing myself in it as well, because I do enjoy the polar opposites. I love both of them. It just, I think there's a balance in between the two for sure.
Definitely.
Well, then you come back, and I felt like maybe it didn't feel like this for you, but Short Course Worlds in Budapest came up lightning fast between
Yes,
the summer
I
and then
agree.
obviously happening in December. Okay, so you felt the
Yeah,
same.
so quick,
But you
so
went
quick.
so quick. Because when did you get back into kind of full-fledged training?
Early September or like really, really, really late August.
Okay. And how much time were you out of the water? What that be?
3
I can't do
weeks.
the math on that. 3 weeks. Okay.
3 weeks, yeah.
So you basically have just a couple months to get back into it. One, what was your mentality going into short course worlds? And then I want to talk about the 3 golds, the 3 world records, like just an insane performance, but kind of hearing the behind the scenes of what led up to that.
Yeah, I mean, the plan to go to Short Course Worlds was pretty well thought out months before. I was really excited to go back to Budapest because that is definitely my favorite pool or second favorite pool in the whole world. And I think a lot of people love that pool because everyone says it's like really, really fast, which obviously I agree with. But it came up so quick after Paris, but not in a bad way whatsoever. I was really excited to race again. Did I have certain expectations or goals? Honestly, not really. I had no idea what to expect. I'm being completely honest. Like I didn't know what I was going to be capable of doing, especially because it's short course meters. It's so different than long course. And since I didn't have a ton, like obviously I had a lot of training, but not a ton of training under my belt, I didn't know where I was going to stand. So I was definitely pleasantly surprised with the results. I mean, overall, I'm very happy with the meet, and I think it went great. It was also just such a fun meet overall. I think the Canadian team had a great time, and I think coming off the Olympics, it's a lot less business, and so we could have more fun and enjoy the process more. So I think short course meters is like that as well. It's a little bit less painful, and you can kind of recover between races easier. So it was just overall an amazing experience, and I loved Budapest, and they hosted a great meet again. So yeah, it was great. And I think it was a great way to kind of kick off racing again after the Olympics as well.
Did you feel, I mean, going into it, I'm like trying to explain this to our listeners that, again, maybe aren't as swimming, like I am so impressed by the amount of athletes that so soon after the Olympics were able to come back to the international stage and swim at that level and that intensity again. Because I just remember, like, after my games feeling like I needed months, like, to recover both physically and emotionally. And there were still athletes that did that this time around, which was amazing. But there were also so many that came right back out, all fires, like all cylinders firing, and just had what I think is one of the most epic meets that the swimming world has ever seen. Like, it was electric. Unbelievable to watch. So just like, did it feel like it was giving more to you than it was taking away, if that makes sense?
I think so, for sure. I mean, the few days up leading to the meet, I was definitely a little bit like, whoa, like I'm racing again. Like, this is my first big meet since the Olympics. And like I said earlier, I did not know what to expect. But I think after day one, I was like, oh, okay, like I got this. Like, this is just enjoy it, have fun. You kind of learn how to race again. And honestly, going into that, I didn't feel any different after what I accomplished at Paris. I felt like just the same old swimmer, which I am. And I was just able to enjoy it so much, which was so good. And I think feeding off the energy of the crowd and just the Canadian team, even though it was a smaller team, it was so much fun. And it was probably like the most fun I've ever had at a swim meet, to be honest, which I did not expect to going in at all. So yeah, it was such a great time, and I'm so glad that I went.
Wait, talk about the crowd, because we have one of our best friends, Elizabeth Beisel, was there kind of emceeing and everything. And just even from her footage, it looked unlike any other crowd I'd seen. How close in comparison was the crowd in Paris to Budapest?
Well, I think Paris, it's pretty, like, that's just a different level because it's like the Olympic Games. And I think people are just electric in there, and the stadium's built for that. But Budapest was still so cool. And I think since it's short course meters, it's even more energy just because it's a little bit more confined. So that was so fun. I mean, during the 400 IM, like every time I would do a breaststroke stroke, I could hear the crowd like roaring. So that was so cool. And I always try to feed off that energy when I'm racing and get the extra adrenaline and things like that. So, and then also after my races, like getting the check of like the world record and all that, that was really fun. And how Elizabeth and John engaged with the crowd was also really cool as well. So keeping the crowd engaged is really important. So them being there really helped with that, I think, as well, for sure.
Last question on that. What do you do? Like, you get the big check, right? Which I'm like, so I hang on this summer because like they didn't have this when I was swimming, and I'm really bitter about it. But it's like this. It's like what is that? Happy Gilmore. Did you watch that movie? Am I dating myself? Dang it. Okay. Well, he got these like big checks as a golfer in the movie. It's Adam Sandler. And so you get the big check on the podium. Do you just leave it in your hotel room? Like you're not like what do you do with it?
Right after your race, they give it to you, they hand it to you, and you like talk to the crowd about it. And then after the first time, I didn't know, so I started like walking away with it, and they just let me go. Like through like the mix zone, and then the next time I broke world record, I handed it back. They're like, "Oh, like no, like we need it for like the next person." So I think at first like they would let you keep it, but I think so many world records were being broken, they were like, "Okay, we're literally running out of these." So there's been like 10 world records tonight, so we actually need to keep them. So,
we need that back,
which is fine, like totally fine. But it was still cool to hold it. And it's almost like a reality, like a game show or something. Yeah. It kind of felt like. So yeah, that was cool.
So cool.
Did you do anything special with that extra bonus money you got from the world records from Budapest?
I mean, I did a little bit of shopping. I mean, the first person I text, honestly, I think is my sister. Yeah. Is like, what do you want, Brooke? Like, what do you want me to like, I always want to get like matching something with her. So I actually haven't really done anything. I haven't really bought anything specific with that money yet. But yeah, I'll definitely be texting her soon so we can figure out something matching to get with my sister. Yeah.
I love that.
That's so cute.
All right. So note to self, whenever you get a giant check, just text me to see what I want for something matching.
Awesome. That sounds good. What when you say match, like a matching set, matching purses, like what's your go-to?
Like matching purses usually, or like a wallet or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like that's been the comp. Like we've probably had, like the Walsh sisters were about that. Kate Douglas was about that. Claire Kerr's on everyone's purses. I was purses.
Yes. Yeah. It's been such a thing for me. I love purses. I've always kind of grown up collecting them, and that's just like the thing for me. I don't know what it is. It's always been purses for me as well.
Love that.
So you should have gotten a black YSL purse in Paris is what we're saying.
I know.
Missy needs a black petition to get Missy a black YSL purse in the next year.
It'll last
happening. It's your push present from me. I didn't tell you. It's a push present.
No, your push present for me is just sushi. That's all I want from you.
Yeah, I'm getting her a big sushi boat.
Oh, I love sushi.
I know. I can't wait to eat it again. I'm so excited. All right. We are going to go into some questions from our audience, which I told you this before we started recording. We got so many questions in, and this is one of the few times we've ever done this, but we just thought it would be so fun because your episode from last year was the #1 listened episode of our whole podcast last year. We really wanted to give our listeners a chance to feel like they were a part of this interview and really included in it.
Awesome.
And so we got amazing questions. People just like worship the ground you walk on.
It was like instant. So like within minutes, there were like 20 questions. I was like, dang, that was fast.
I know. So we ended up with literally hundreds. So it was so hard to pick, but kind of, as we mentioned, we'll do some of the more serious, more relevant ones, and then we save some of the really fun ones to add into our power play in a little bit. So first off, kind of as we're coming off Paris, as we're coming off Budapest, high altitude training, what are your goals for the 2025 season?
I think my goal season to season is always just to keep improving, no matter if it's an Olympic year or not. That's definitely my goal this season, along with what I was saying earlier with branching out with new events and things like that, different stimulus. But overall, just day to day, working as hard as possible, along with improving my details, turns, dives, underwaters, things like that, fine tuning, finding those extra milliseconds and seconds. But overall, just becoming a better swimmer, I think. Like, no matter the stroke, no matter the distance, just overall becoming better.
Spoken like a true IMer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so after this insane summer that you've had, fall that you've had, do you feel like there's more pressure now, like almost like a target on your back, or do you kind of put blinders on with that?
I wouldn't say that like I feel like there's a target on my back. I think oh, sorry, my cat's meowing. I can hear him. I think it honestly just keeps me more motivated because now knowing what it feels like to be Olympic champion, it's like I crave to feel that feeling again. I mean, I know it's a long time away, but I think I'm always just focused on myself and improving myself. I mean, there's always going to be competitors, and the competitors are the reason that I go to training every day to get better, and they motivate me and they push me to be the best swimmer I can be. So I don't really look at it as a negative thing. I look at it more as it's such a positive thing to keep motivating, keep getting better and pushing myself, because I know it's such a competitive sport and anything can happen. And along with and every event, I kind of have different competitors as well. So definitely keeps me motivated on a daily basis for sure.
I love that perspective too, because I think there's some people that might imagine almost the opposite. Like you reach that level and you kind of are like, okay, like did it, check, like Olympic champion, like, all right. So I love hearing you say like, no, now that I've had a taste of it, like it only motivates me that much more to want to stay there and to want to get that again. Like, I think that's really cool for people to hear.
Well, and crave. I love the word crave. Like you crave it. I think that's, I've never heard someone say it like that. I think that's really unique.
I love that. Okay. We had a lot of questions that seemed like that came in from like 13, 14-year-old age group, which is awesome because I love that you're influencing that generation. So I always had a hard time with this question because I couldn't quite remember, but Katie, I feel like remembers things
every
like,
second.
Yes. Like, so we got asked if you remember kind of what your training schedule was like as a 13, 14-year-old, and also a little bit of a follow-up when you decided to like fully commit and like when you knew that swimming was the path that you wanted to take.
Yes, I mean, growing up, I did so many different sports, but I think I was like 10 or 11 where I was deciding between figure skating and swimming, and I decided to go full on with swimming. But training as a 13, 14-year-old, I mean, it definitely was pretty intense because I was training for the Olympics and I was training for the 800, 1500 freestyle, so distance. So I can't remember exactly, but I know I was training 9 times a week, and I don't know how much kilometers I would do every practice, maybe like 6K. And then weight sessions would be 3 times a week. And then core, like 30-minute core sessions twice a week. But I mean, that's definitely pretty intense training for someone that age. For the public eye, I think they'd be like, whoa, that's a lot of training. But for me training to make the Olympic team for the first time and the events I was doing, it definitely takes a lot. So yeah, I mean, my training's definitely evolved since then in different ways, just because I've been to different programs now and things like that. But I think I was definitely swimming 9 times a week.
Yeah. And I think it's good to preface that. Like, and that's why those questions are always so hard too, is because I think people would love this like one size fits all of like, this is what you should be doing at 13, 14 years old to be Summer McIntosh. But it's like, it's so individual, and people's like, that's always, when I share my story and I'm like, yeah, I had an Olympic trial cut at 12, but like, if you're 12 and you don't have Olympic trial cuts, like that does not mean that you're not going to get them or that this isn't in the books for you. Like everyone's journey and path is so totally different. So like when you hear things like that, just as you said so perfectly, like take it with a grain of salt. This is what worked for you and what you were doing. And that's part of the journey, is figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah.
And also,
go
ahead.
There's no magic number, like you were saying. It's not one size fits all, and I think it's not how many times you train a week; it's what you do at those practices, how hard you're pushing yourself, and just every practice you go to, no matter if it's 5 or 4 or 10, you would just want to be working as hard as you possibly can.
Totally.
I would say the other like big star on that is, I imagine that was driven by you. Like you were excited to do 9 workouts a week. You were excited 100%. To be right. Like I think that's the thing, is I always like, if it's
thank you for that star. That's a very important
big
star.
Yeah. Like if it's your coach or if it's your parents being like, no, Summer, you have like, you wouldn't be swimming right now. Right. And so I think that's like when parents ask that question, I'm always like, okay, can we get your child over here just so like we can confirm with them, so just,
For sure. You have to enjoy it.
Yeah. You have to,
because you are doing a lot of it, so you have to love it.
At the end of the day, you're the one that gets in the water and swims the laps.
Yeah.
Yes,
for sure.
So off of that, when you are in a practice where you're super tired or just in a bad mental place, right? We all have those. We wake up on the wrong side of the bed. How do you overcome that or push through that?
That's a hard question. I think it's different every time, but I think sometimes I'll wake up on the wrong side of the bed and I think I'm excited to go to practice, because although like I'm pushing my body to its limits, I think swimming's almost a form of, this might sound weird, but like meditation, because you're kind of like in your own space, just because you can't really hear anything and you're kind of just swimming. I mean, obviously like your teammates are around probably like shouting at you for like missing the FaceTime or something, or messing up the FaceTime. But I think it's just a form of like, no matter what, I know I'm going to practice and I'm gonna have these 2 hours to work on myself and do the sport that I love. So I think it always makes my mood better, along with anytime I feel like when anyone works out, you always feel better afterwards. Like you never regret a workout. But I think learning how to push through those days, and there's definitely a lot of days where I wake up and I'm absolutely exhausted, usually around the end of the week, usually Friday morning, I think is usually the hardest practice for me, just because waking up that early and then going to practice after having so much training under my belt the whole week and still being motivated to go to practice and push myself. But those are the practices, this is what my coach always tells me, and it's so true. Like those are the practices those are the practices you can just show up the most, and that's where you really start to get better. Because I mean, at the Olympics, day 8 of swimming, was I feeling 10 out of 10? Absolutely not. But did I still have to race? Yes. So I needed to figure out what things I needed to do and the tools that I needed to be able to still race and swim as fast as possible. And I think doing that in training is really important to give you the confidence for that. So, I mean, you're never going to feel 100% in training. And if you do feel 100% in training every single day, you're probably not training hard enough.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's really important to remember.
Amen.
Love that. All right. So more of a nutrition question, which again, it's really broad. So I'll let you take it wherever you want to go. But we just got questions on like how, like if you work with a nutritionist, how you've learned your nutrition and what your kind of go-tos are for fueling your body during training and competition.
So I've kind of worked here and there with the nutritionist just because when I was at the Canadian Center in Ontario, there was one that was associated with it, but currently right now I don't at all. I think I've just really learned because it is very personal. I think people need to remember that, like you were just saying, it's very personal to you and everyone's body is very different. But I think when it comes to swimmers, we burn so many calories. So growing up, I literally could not keep weight on me. I would chug like 2 of those like liquid breakfasts, like Ensure drinks at night because I would be just losing so much weight. So maintaining weight during really hard training blocks is really important. And I think just like rule of thumb, like carbs before workout and then protein afterwards, I think that's just like really important to remember. But make sure you're fueling your body as much as possible. And with the right things, of course, too. I mean, I'm not saying I don't ever eat ice cream. I think I eat ice cream like every single day. But I'm just saying like try to keep things like your main meals like as healthy as possible, but make sure it's enough as well. And it's all about balance and things like that. But yeah, everyone's going to be so different when it comes to that. Everyone has different metabolisms and body makeups and stuff. But yeah,
what's your favorite ice cream? I can't remember if we asked you that the first time.
Chocolate, anything chocolate.
Oh, I love just classic chocolate, girl. I love it.
Yes.
Do you have a go-to like treat yourself meal?
I don't think so. I mean, I love like a burger. Like I'll always be down to eat a burger, but I'm always hungry, so I'll like eat anything whenever with my friends, to be honest.
Has to have sweet potato fries.
Yes.
Sweet potato fries.
Well,
I feel like your baby is kicking right now because we're talking about Missy keeps going like this and I'm like, is she because we're talking about food, so that makes sense.
So
I know
cute.
she's kicking like crazy, so I'm just sitting here like holding her as I'm thinking about sweet potato fries.
Yeah, she is your child. So, what medal from Paris are you most proud of?
I go back and forth between either the tuna fly or the tuna ram. I mean, obviously I'm proud of all of them, but I think the tuna fly was just extra special because that's the event that my mom used to swim and the event she qualified for in the 1984 games. And sharing that moment, I mean, when I touched the wall and then realized that I became Olympic champion in the event and looking over to the sidelines and seeing my mom right there and just looking at her, it was very, very surreal and crazy just because I've talked about this event growing up and we've obviously talked about the Olympics so much and it's always been a dream of mine. And I think tuna fly is definitely one of my favorite, if not my favorite event. So sharing that with her was so cool. But I also love the tuna ram medal just because it was such a cool race and I love watching that race back. And just a great way to finish off the meet overall. But yeah, the tuna fly was super, super special.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I'm trying to like, I'm of course now like trying to imagine from your mom's perspective too, of like what that must have been like for her being there and watching that happen and just.
Oh yeah, if you watched her reaction, you can definitely tell.
She just losing it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I am so excited to be recording this ad because our endless pool in our home is officially done. We have done all the landscaping around it. Everything looks incredible. And you guys, I cannot tell you enough how happy we are with it. So Hayes and I made the decision to buy an endless pool and have it put in our backyard. We, of course, both love the water. We want it to be a big part of our family life. And we thought, what better way to have access to the pool every single day than having one in our our own backyard. So for those of you guys that don't know, Endless Pool, it's a smaller pool, but it has a current in it. So you can set the current to any time, any speed that you want, and you can still essentially swim laps against the current. And you can also turn the current off and just use it as a normal pool. We have been in it every single night after dinner. Caitlin refuses to get out of it. And it's just so amazing knowing that whenever we want to swim, we literally just get to walk outside and hop in our pool. So we are so happy with this. It's one of the best things we've done for ourselves and for our home. We all love being back in the water again. We've got an incredible discount for you guys. You can go to endlesspools.com/unfiltered for $1,000 off. But their website is also a great place to learn more about all the different products they offer to see if Endless Pools is right for you and your family. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm going to rephrase it. So the question is, how do you keep your love for the sport alive? But since we've touched on that, I think my question for you now is, do you feel like you love swimming now more than you ever have?
Yes, I've said that, and like I get that question a little bit here and there, and I think I've said a few times now, like every day I fall more and more in love with the sport. And anytime you do something at a competition like I did at the Olympics, it just makes you realize what the sport has to offer you and all the experiences and all the emotions that you would never otherwise have. So I love the sport and I just love racing, but I think it's really important to love the day-to-day grind as well, which I just absolutely adore, and I've always loved training. But yeah, I mean, just getting all these amazing experiences outside of the pool because of just doing what I love and being good at it's just really, really cool.
I love that so much. Yeah, it makes me so happy for you and so excited for you, for everything that you still have ahead of you.
Okay, last question for me. So what is the best piece of advice you can give to a parent to be the most supportive to their child in any athletic endeavor or in any endeavor in general?
That's a really good question. I don't know about other sports, but I think swimming, it's easy for parents to become super involved, even though if they don't know a lot about the sport. So I think it's important to remember, even if your kid is at a younger age in the age group level, to let them kind of drive the bus and listen to them, because they're the ones that are getting in the water every single day and they're the ones training, and along with listening to the coach as well. The coach, obviously, this is what they do. This is their job. They know what's best for your athlete. I mean, obviously, it's a collaborative effort, but just listening to every aspect and not just kind of being too close-minded, being open-minded with things like that, and along with not over putting pressure on your kid, and just let them enjoy it and as much as possible, especially if you're a younger age. And if you learn that at a young age, you'll know that for the rest of your career, and that's really what keeps longevity in the sport. So that's just the main thing for me, I would say.
Yes, that is so crucial. Okay, power play time. So these are our rapid fire. And again, we've done a mix of our questions and audience questions, which we got some really awesome questions from our audience for these ones too. So many of these ones came in. What is the worst set you've ever had to do?
Honestly, I think it was recent. I don't think it was the worst. I think it was just like the hardest. It probably wasn't the most grueling on paper. But recently I just did 37 100s. This was in France, 37 100s best average on 130 with the suit on.
Video of this too.
At altitude. Oh my God. My face was red for 3 hours afterwards. It was crazy. It was crazy. Like my body was
Why
like
37?
I know 37 is such a random number. Why was it 37?
It was 36. I don't know why it was even 36. To be honest, I mean, I feel like 40 sounds more daunting, so Fred wanted to do 36. But then we were done. I touched the wall at the 36 one. I'm like, okay, I'm done. We did it. We completed the set. Then he goes, okay, one more, guys, from a dive. One more. So then we just do a dive, which honestly was so fun because, like, I mean, some people will like go like a lot faster on the last one, but I physically couldn't even. Like, I did a little bit faster, but I think it was fun just to, it was fun to kind of push myself and do one from a dive, so it was fun. But yeah, 37 does seem kind of random if you don't know the backstory.
Well, I also love that extra one too, because I mean, in the moment, as like when you hear that, as much as you just want to crawl into a hole
and cry,
it's like it is those moments where you realize that you are capable of more than you think you are.
100%.
Like when you hit 36 and you're like, I'm done, and your coach is like, one more, and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay. But then you
100%.
do it. It's like, okay, I had it in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, gives it a little extra boost. What would you say, Summer, to the people that are Sammy save-ups? And just the anger in my heart when you'd have like I guarantee you were consistent, you hit the same pace, and then you have those people that get up there and drop like 3 seconds, and you're like, where was this for all 36?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's more like I'll like make jokes about them. I honestly, I don't really care. It doesn't affect me that much. Like, I think it's just funny. Like, we'll kind of like me and my friends, we're teammates. Like, we can kind of joke with each other and kind of talk to each other in a joking way in practice about stuff like that. But I mean, it's only a reflection on them, and it's only going to affect them. But it can get annoying. I mean, a little bit sometimes, but I don't really care. I mean, it definitely motivates me to go faster on the last one, but even when I physically can't. So
Yeah.
Just more confirmation that you're more mature than me when I was 17, 18, 19. Okay, what makes you laugh the most?
Honestly, like, that's a really good question. I think it depends. I mean, definitely my friends, I think, and my family, like, will make like such stupid jokes. But I think sometimes I've laughed the most, which is honestly not the best, is like during practices, just like stupid jokes that me and my friends will make to each other. And I know all swimmers know, like, when you're laughing during swimming, you literally cannot swim.
You go
Like,
limp.
yes, you go limp. I don't know what that is, but like I literally can't. Like, I'll push off the wall and I'll just be dying laughing. And you also can't breathe either, so it's just a whole mess. But
Laughing at
yeah,
altitude, worst case scenario.
yeah, yeah.
I almost forgot about that. It's so true. The limp laughter when you're swimming, that makes me so happy to think about.
Is it like, there has to be something scientific where you just lose all control of like your limbs when you laugh? Like, think about right now when you're laughing, like, could you do a squat right now?
Probably not, but you shouldn't be asking me if I could do a squat right
Also,
now
she's
anyway.
8 months pregnant, so that's a terrible example. Terrible example.
All right, we got a bunch of these ones that came in, which I thought were hysterical. So supposedly you and Leon have been dubbed king and queen of the 400 IM. And people want to know if you guys swapped advice in Paris.
No, we definitely, I mean, I talked to him, but during Paris, I think everyone is so like business. Everyone's really focused on, you know, we definitely did not, I wasn't like, hey, Leon, like, how do you swim the 400 IM?
You're like in the ready room, like, hey.
Yeah, no, definitely didn't do that. I mean, congrats to him. Paris was absolutely amazing for him. And we kind of just, I think we definitely have such mutual respect, especially because we do share the world record. Well, we don't share the world record, but we had the world record in the same event. But no, we've never really talked about race strategy. No.
Can you imagine being like, hey, he walks up like, hey, Summer, if you like really negative split the backstroke, I think you've got another half.
Maybe I should ask him. Maybe I should.
Maybe he should ask you. What are you talking about? He should ask you.
No.
Okay, so you're on TikTok, so you know, like red flags in someone and green flags in someone. There's obviously beige flags as well. But what is your red flag of yourself, and what's your green flag?
Ooh, that's such a good. I've never thought about this. Red flag. I maybe like to like a normal, like not normal, but like someone that doesn't compete in like a sport. Maybe people would say I'm very competitive. Like when it comes to like card games, I think a lot of athletes will say this. Like, I'm very competitive in a card game and I take it very seriously. And I tend not to be good at it, like ever, or like a video game. So I kind of just like give up, which isn't really like me when it comes to swimming, but anything else I'll just kind of give up. And a green flag, I mean, hopefully I have a lot of green flags. I don't know.
Your top green flag, and not like your only green flag. That would be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just always kind of there for everyone, and I think I can kind of vibe with anyone. I don't really know what that is, but I think when it comes to my teammates, I always try to make sure I'm there for them. I think it's just because we understand each other on such a real level, and I think team aspect in swimming is so important because it is an individual sport, but with relays and things like that, I think the older girls on Team Canada have taught me how important it is to come together as a team. So I think being a great teammate and being super collaborative is probably one of my best green flags.
That's great. Love that. And then this one came in, which I thought was really fun. Is there ever a question you have not been asked that you've wanted to be asked?
Ooh.
I mean, I feel like I definitely would have an answer to that. I can't think of a specific question, but I feel like
Because
I've been
we've just
asked
asked you
so many
questions for the last
questions
hour.
You're like, you've covered all of them.
Yeah, I don't think I have a specific one that I'm like dying for people to know. But I love when like I'm asked like questions that I haven't been asked before. That's like the best because it keeps it like super fun.
Agreed.
We've got plenty of those coming up. This is a super simple. Are you good at keeping secrets?
Yes, I would say so. Especially when it comes to, of course, my family. Like I'm a complete vault, but like friends as well. Like I'm just not one to like want to share that. Like if you tell me something and you don't tell me not to tell anyone, I'm not gonna tell anyone. That's just not my place. Because that's what I wouldn't, if I told someone that, like I wouldn't want anyone else to, if I like, same energy back and forth kind of thing.
What about for like a gift? Like you get someone like a Christmas gift and you're so hype about it.
No, that stuff that's a different story. That I will like hint to them like all the time. Like I'll always want to like, because I get really excited about that stuff. I mean, remember one time I got me and my sister matching like kind of like friendship bracelets, and I literally gave it to her like December like 3rd because I just couldn't wait. So
that is Katie Hoff.
I understand like it's just so I think I tell Missy like 3 weeks early every single thing. But it's good intentions, right? Like you're so excited about the gift. Like my counter argument to people who say that's bad is like, don't you want me to be so excited because it's that awesome of a gift?
Because I'm just that good of a gift giver.
I'm so good at it. Yeah, that's a good balance. That's a good balance.
I know. All right. What international swimmer, so not on Team Canada, do you get along the best with?
That's a really good question. I don't think I could name a specific person. I mean, I'm not super, super, super close to anyone other than like we know a lot of people, of course. But I think Team Canada is really tight knit. But I know Claire Weinstein really well on Team USA because my best friend Abby Dunford is really, really close with her because they used to train together and she's a great girl. So yeah, I know Claire very well. So shout out to Claire.
Love that.
All right. What is your favorite TikTok dance that you wish you could do but are intimidated by?
Honestly, all the new ones. Like
I know.
They're so hard. Like back in like 2020, 2021, I could learn all of them like that because they were so much more like simple, I think. But now I literally can probably do two. Like if you go to my TikTok, I literally have posted like it's kind of just a running joke with me and my friends. I don't even know why we do it. But I've probably posted like 30 videos of me doing the same, like the apple dance. I don't know why we do that. Like, that's the only one I know though, because it's like the only easy one. Like,
Summer, I did the apple dance all over Paris because it was all like I should have found you because it's the only one that you kind of feel like cool doing, and it's not just like hitting the whoa, like which was in 2020, but like exactly. But like it's
what
a little.
What was that though? Like
the whoa? I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know what that was about too.
But we did it. It was a weird time. But yeah,
I was into it too.
Yeah, same. I did it the first time I did it at a clinic, and the girls were like, I didn't even know anything about TikTok, and they were like, hey, do you want to like hit the whoa with us? And I was like, what is that? And so I had to learn it on the fly, and like I come into the screen and but Summer, you're way younger than me, so it's so cringe when I do it. It's like really cool when you do it.
No, it is not. I can't dance. At least I don't think I can.
Well, apple dance. Next time we are in the same vicinity, we'll do the apple dance.
Yes, we have to. We have to.
Okay.
I'm holding you both to that.
And you're joining. Missy's joining.
Anything for TikTok and Katie. Anything. All right. Last one from me. Who is your celebrity crush?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say, okay, this is like really basic, but I would say Drew Starkey because I'm obsessed. If anyone knows this, I don't think I've ever talked about this. I'm obsessed with the show Outer Banks on Netflix. It's like I've literally watched season 1 almost 30 times. Like I'm absolutely obsessed, and he plays Rafe in that. So yeah, I am definitely, that's probably my main celebrity crush, I would say, is Drew Starkey.
Oh,
love that.
I mean, it's a hard thing, especially season 1 with that, because he's such a villain, but he's also so attractive. So you feel very conflicted. You're very conflicted in what's happening.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think season 2 is like peak Rafe.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, John B though, but yeah, Rafe is cute.
See, I'm more of like a JJ or Rafe. I've never been that more into John B. I don't know what it is, but I mean, all of them
John B's basic, I feel like, so that's Rafe is more unique. I feel like that's a good choice. Yeah. Okay, so I am known now. I'm becoming known for my scenarios because I think a certain scenario tells people a lot about you. So this is, imagine you're in line at the airport in security. And you're taking off all your stuff, getting your shoes off, getting the bins. Sometimes you don't have to take them. It's like a whole thing, right? There's someone behind you and you can just feel their energy. Like you put your tray down, they put their stuff in it. And you're like, I still have to put my shoes in it, right? You just feel that. Ugh.
Yeah.
What do you do in that scenario? Do you remain calm? Or do you get flustered and like literally do the like walk with all your stuff to a bench and get situated after?
I don't really know. Sometimes I'm usually like, I wish I could just sit down and do it, but I do get flustered and I'll just like rush and like try to get out of people's way. But I usually like freeze in those situations, I think. But I think it depends on what mood I'm into. Depends if it's 5 a.m. or if I'm sleep deprived and stuff like that.
And also how rushed you are.
Yeah,
and how rushed you are.
Yeah, one time through security I think this was going to 2022 Worlds. I literally forgot my computer.
Oh my God.
Because I was just like rushing so much for no reason. I just wanted to like walk to like food to go with my teammates, but yeah, I don't know.
I always feel so bad when you hear those announcements over the systems. And it's like, so-and-so, you've left your driver's license or like your phone and watch or sitting at security.
You're like, oh,
so bad.
You're like, they had a jerk behind them that rushed them. That's what happened.
All right, my dear, we're going to go into our final 3 questions. This has been so much fun. Yeah. So you know the drill here. These are the same, but just in case your answers might have changed, what is a moment within the sport of swimming that now brings you the most amount of joy?
I would say, other than... I said earlier that I'm the most proud of the tuna fly, but I think the most joy and the craziest emotional, like the way my body felt after was the tuna I am. I think that was one of the craziest moments of my life. That was like absolutely wild. Like the feeling of when I touched the wall and then on the side, there was a sideboard and it just said one McIntosh. I was like, and that's like the only time my friends make fun of me because that's like the only time I've like done like a swim celly or whatever, like after a race. Because I like smashed the water because that was just like, it was so much adrenaline. And I think when you win a race, it's like all the pain just like goes away like that.
Instant.
It's like the same thing when you like lose a race. I think the pain hurts even more. But yeah, that's definitely probably the most unforgettable feeling ever in my swimming life.
Love that.
Me too. All right. So moment or memory outside the sport that's brought you the most amount of joy?
I would say the cottage, specifically the one after the Olympics. That was absolutely amazing. And I kind of had like 2 stints of it. I had like stint 1 with a group of people because like not all of them can make the same time. And then I went back to be flag bearer and then I came back and then I had another, I think it was like 4 or 5 nights with my friends again. So those like 2-week long period was definitely like some of the best moments of my life. And I had so much fun just coming off the Olympics, being so happy with the result, and then sharing and celebrating those moments with my friends as well, and my family, of course.
Makes me so happy for you. That's just like the perfect way to just like put a bow on everything. All right, last one. If you had to pick a word that represents something you're working on moving forward or something that motivates you on a daily basis, what would that word be for you now and why?
Yeah, I mean, I remember last time I said the word energy, and I think that's still one of the main words I'm always thinking about. And I mean, of course, energy could mean just having energy for a daily basis to go to practice, but I think more for me means the energy that people surround you with. And I think I'm a person that believes like of course you become your surroundings and things like that. So being very mindful of your environment and waking up every morning knowing you only have a certain amount of energy and how you're going to divide that and how you're going to give that to the people and the things around you is really important to remember. So I think I'd stick with that word for now.
Love that.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Well, Summer, getting to talk to you a second time, like, it's just so fun to be able to connect and hear your stories and what's changed, what stayed the same. So we just so appreciate you taking the time, sitting down with us, and hopefully it'll be in person in the future.
Yes, for sure. I'd love to. This has been so much fun, though. Thank you.
We would love that. And tell your cat we say hi.
Yeah, she is vocal.
No, it's so annoying. I'm so sorry.
I've been dying. She's like cheering you on.
He has separation anxiety from me, I swear. He's like obsessed with me. So I'm obsessed with him too, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Summer. You are the best, and we can't wait to talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.